We've all heard the story. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Seems simple enough, right? But if you look just a tiny bit closer at one of the most basic elements, water, a really fascinating question pops up. Okay, let's dive into this. So here's the question that really kicks things off, and it might throw you for a loop. What if the iconic creation story in Genesis 1 isn't actually about God making water from nothing? What if he's doing something completely different? Let's dive right into the text and see what it says. All right, so this is verse 2. We are right at the very beginning. And this is before day 1 even officially starts. Before let there be light, what do you see? Water. It's already there. The story doesn't start in an empty vacuum. It starts with darkness, a formless earth, and this massive watery deep. So this starting point is often called the primordial deep. And get this, it's not an empty void. It's described as a formless, chaotic, watery mess. So if the water is already on the scene, what's the first thing God actually does with it? And that leads us right into our next big idea. See, the first thing God does with water isn't creating it. It's about taming it, about bringing some serious structure and order to all that pre-existing chaos. And he does this in 2 main steps over a couple of days. First, he divides the waters up, and then he gathers them together. Let's break down exactly how that happens. Okay, so on day 2, God makes this firmament, right? You can basically think of it as the sky or the expanse. And the key word to focus on here is divide. He isn't making new water. He's separating what's already there. It's a pure act of organization. And then, bam, on day 3, we see the exact same pattern. The command word this time is gathered. Again, it's all about organizing, pushing the water into one place so that something new, the land, can finally appear. And this is where it all clicks. Look at the difference here. Day 1, let there be light. Boom, light exists. That's pure creation from scratch. But with water, the words are divide and gather. That's not creation, that's organization. It's like water is the raw material, the clay that God is about to sculpt. Okay, so what's the big deal? Why all this focus on organizing water first? Well, it turns out this single act of bringing order to the chaos is the absolute foundation for everything else that's about to happen. The logic is actually really simple, but it's also incredibly profound. Think about it. You can't have dry land until you gather the seas, right? And you can't have plants, animals, or people without dry land to live on. God is literally setting the stage for life. But then, check this out. On the 5th day, water's job totally flips. It goes from being this chaotic thing that needed to be controlled to the very source that's commanded to produce life. The ordered water itself becomes a creative force. Okay, so this all brings us full circle, back to that first big question. If the very first chapter is all about God organizing water, does that mean the Bible is saying he didn't actually create it? Well, to get the full picture, we have to zoom out from Genesis 1. And when we do, like here in the Psalms, we get a super clear answer. There's no room for guessing here. The text just says it straight up. The sea is his, and he made it. So while Genesis 1 is focused on the organizing, other parts of the Bible are clear that God is the creator. Psalm 148 gets even more detailed, which is awesome. It talks about those waters above the heavens. Remember those from day 2, the ones that were divided? Yeah, it says those waters were created by his command. So, there it is. The Bible explicitly says God is the one who created those original waters. And just to show this isn't only an Old Testament thing, we can jump all the way to the end of the Bible, to Revelation. And the call to worship is to the one who made everything, including specifically the sea and the fountains of waters. So yeah, it's a consistent theme from start to finish. So what do we do with this? How do we make sense of these 2 perspectives? It's actually not a contradiction at all. Genesis 1 is just telling a different part of the story. It's a close-up, It's focused on the how God took this raw material and shaped it into a world we could live in. The rest of the Bible gives us the who, confirming that yes, he's the one who made that raw material to begin with. So really the big takeaway here is this. The first chapter of Genesis is really a story about transformation. The emphasis isn't just on making things pop into existence, but on the incredible act of organizing. It's about a master artist taking a chaotic, watery canvas and bringing perfect order and purpose to it. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to chew on. When you start to see the creation story this way, not just as snapping fingers and making stuff, but as this incredible process of bringing order out of chaos, how does that change the way you think about the whole thing? It's a really interesting shift in perspective, isn't it?